Anyone remember when Google's slogan was "Don't be evil"? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, Alphabet, Google's parent company, recently announced that they no longer restrict people from using their AI for applications likely to cause harm. So that means that Google's AI might be used for surveillance technologies, weapons, and other things that you probably wouldn't want Google to be involved in. So now, not only can Google kill your brain with mindless brain rot and advertising, but they can also, literally kill you. The first and most obvious problem with AI-based weapons is that AI indisputably sucks and probably always will suck. I mean, what happens if Google's soulless Skynet decides that your nan's Pomeranian is public enemy number one and that the entire US nuclear arsenal needs to be fired at it? Obviously that's absurd and won't actually happen. I hope. But if AI can instruct someone to put glue on their pizza, then I don't think it's a stretch to assume that AI could also make incredibly poor military decisions that could at the least cause injury and at the worst start a war. It's scary that we, the human race, would leave such important decisions to such infamously unreliable technology for no reason other than we want to kill each other as effectively as possible. But I guess Google isn't really run by humans, is it? We of course also have to ask the question of whether it's even ethical to allow people to use AI for decisions like these. What I mean by that is if an AI makes a decision, then no human has to take accountability for it or feel any remorse. The idea that anyone could take AI and use it to mow people down with impunity should scare you. But I'm sure the idea excites more than a few countries and unsavoury groups. Also, consider that AI, by nature, has to be trained on data created by humans. Usually this data is taken without the creator's consent, or under the pretense of it being used for some mundane purpose, which is obviously morally wrong in of itself. But then to go and use that data for warfare is even worse, as it makes people partially responsible for things that they might be completely opposed to against their will, which is obviously a major ethical issue. There's also the question of whether for-profit companies, Google in this case, should be allowed to get involved with warfare at all. Obviously they do, but I'm of the opinion that they shouldn't, especially not companies as readily evil as Google. No company should be able to make profit based on how many people they kill and how many lives they ruin. It's something that we should be avoiding at all costs, not incentivizing it with a profit motive. Anyway, you might rightly ask where this decision by Google has come from and why I've decided to talk about it. Well, unfortunately, I think it stems from our current political and economic climate, wherein companies are so big that they can act with impunity. After all, how can Google realistically fail now? This impunity is further enabled by politicians who couldn't care less if companies do stuff like this. In fact, they profit from it. I mean, the current president of the United States just put the stupidest person in big tech in charge of a governmental department that apparently had enough power to basically initiate a coup. Essentially, I think that Google's decision to allow AI weapons comes from much the same place as Meta and X allowing hate speech on their platforms. Even though these two things might initially seem unrelated, they're both caused by companies feeling that they can go completely mask off thanks to the current economic and political climate. There's also the simpler problem of big tech companies not seeing their users as people, just as a means to an end. Obviously, Google don't care about their users. If they did, they wouldn't harvest their data. To Google, killing people and stealing their data are one in the same as long as their earnings increase. So what's the point in me saying all of this? Well, I guess I'd like to make a call to action. Our politicians don't seem interested in doing anything about these big tech companies doing evil stuff, so the responsibility then falls to us. If you don't like a company, then don't make money for them by using their products, and make sure that you educate others on why they shouldn't use these products too, while letting people know what the alternatives are. Of course, that solution isn't perfect, and it probably isn't even likely to accomplish as much as we'd like, but If we can deprive Google of enough money to make one extra AI murder weapon, then I see that as a win. TLDR, DuckDuckGo don't kill people, use them instead.